Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week, and if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. In today's tutorial, we're making a comfy cardigan. There's always something about making a crochet cardigan that feels like returning to a warm blanket. Comforting and relaxing. Speaking of, if you're looking for some comfy makes to relax with, you are in the right place. We have hundreds of easy to follow crochet tutorials and patterns, with even more dropping twice weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now it's time to get on the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 700 grams of yarn. That's 1,250 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 6mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us what soup you like to have when you want to have a cozy day in. Mine would have to be French onion soup. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is made for size small. You can adjust it for your size, and we'll explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this cardigan started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 6mm hook and start off by making an odd number chain that starts at the top of our shoulder down to where like the bottom of this cardigan to be, keeping in mind that we will have a bottom band. Now I'd like for mine to be just about 20.5 inches or 53 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 71, and I actually already have mine completed, so I'm just going to be doing a small sample size with you. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to do a half double crochet row. So start by blocking off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook, we're all going to yarn over and insert with a half double. So insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, and that is our first half double crochet. From here, continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain. We've put 1 half double crochet into every chain. Now we're going to get started on our following row. It is going to be a 2-row repeat, and it's just going to be a half double crochet row and then a Suzette stitch row. So getting our Suzette stitch row started, we're going to chain 1, flip our work. Our Suzette stitches are going to be a single and double crochet into that same stitch. So into the last stitch from our previous row, start with a single crochet, so pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, then a double crochet, so yarn over. Into that same stitch, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now that is our first Suzette stitch set. Now after every Suzette stitch set, we are going to be skipping that following stitch because that double crochet is going to count as that stitch. If you're working it there, we will accidentally be increasing, so skip a stitch. Into the next, we're going to repeat 1 single, into that same stitch with a double crochet. And that's it. From here, continue to skip a stitch, single crochet and double crochet into the next until we all have 2 stitches left. So we've made our way all the way down with our Suzette stitches, leaving the last 2 stitches. Into that last stitch, just to close off the row, we're going to insert with a single crochet, and now our row 2 is complete. From here, it is going to be a repeat of our 2 previous rows. So just as an example, chain 2 to get started on our odd number repeat, flip our work and 1 half double crochet into every stitch. At the end of that row, chain 1, flip our work, and do the same Suzette stitch row that we just did together. We're not doing any increases or decreases, so we should have the same amount of stitches for every row for this section. And all we're going to do is continue to repeat our half double and Suzette stitch row until we have a portion that can reach from 2 inches past the tip of our shoulder all the way over until we reach the side of the base of our neck. We do want to make sure that we're ending on an odd number row so that we start and end with a half double crochet row. And then once we have 1 panel completed, since this is the front panel, we're going to be making a second that is exactly the same. Now just to let y'all know, I have a total of 19 rows. My width is just about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. Then once we have both of our front panels completed, we're now going to get started on the back panel, which is going to start the same way that the front panels did. So getting started on the back panel, we're all going to start by making a chain for the same amount of chains that we made when we got started on the front panel. So for me, that was 71. Then what we're going to do is just the same half double and Suzette stitch rows with no increases and no decreases until we have a portion that can reach from 2 inches past the tip of our shoulder, across our back till we're 2 inches past the tip of our other shoulder.
And we must all end on an odd number of rows.
Now, just as a really quick tip, we want to make sure that the total amount of rows that we have for the back panel is more than the total amount of rows that we have for the front panel. So as an example, I want to make sure that it is more than my 19 rows for my front panel times 2. So 19 plus 19 is 38, and I just want to make sure that this is more than 38 because we want to have a little bit of space for the neckline. Now, as you guys can see, I already have mine completed. I have a total of 49 rows, which is just about 18 inches or 46 centimeters. And once we have this completed, we're now going to place one of our front panels on top of our back panel, and then we're going to seam up the shoulders together. So now that both our front panels and our back panel are completed, now we're going to seam everything together. So first things first, we're all going to place our front panel on top of our back panel, but making sure that we're showing the same sides when it's flipped over. So what I mean by that is there's a front and a back panel. The front shows the front of the Suzette stitch rows, so we're going to get this little ribbing that we have right here. And the back shows the front of the half double crochet rows. So whichever one you guys want to show, that's completely up to you, but just make sure that the one that you would like to show is faced in on each other, so that once we flipped it right side out, that's going to be the outside. I wanted to show the back of my piece, so I went ahead and made sure that those two panels are facing each other. Then we're going to insert our hook into the top corner stitch of both the front and the back. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Then all we're going to do is 1 single crochet into every side row within both the front and the back panel at the same time. So finding that first side row within the front panel should be a side half for everyone. Find that top loop, insert. Find that same top loop within the back panel, so the side of that top half double again with a single crochet. Again, everyone's next side row is a side Suzette stitch row, so find that top loop, insert. Find the next top loop within the back panel, which should be our side Suzette stitch, insert, and single. And that's it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more side rows left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up 1 and cut, then repeat on the other side. So now that our shoulders are all seamed up, we're now ready to get started on our armhole. So we're going to want to make sure that we're inserting our stitch marker into any stitch that is in multiples of 3, the width that we'd like for our armhole to be. Now this is going to be the width of the sleeve as well, so if you'd like a baggier sleeve, insert it lower, or if you'd like a slimmer sleeve, insert it higher. I wanted mine to be just a comfy sleeve, so I inserted my stitch marker into the 30th stitch from the top. That's just about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to make sure the work is still flipped wrong side out, meaning the seams that we did for the shoulders still along the outside. Then insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Then we're going to do a single crochet seam. So start by finding that first stitch into the front panel, insert. Find the next stitch into the back panel, insert with a single crochet. That was pretty much it. We're going to continue doing this until we reach our stitch marker stitch. Once we do a chain up 1 and cut, then repeat on the other side. So we are back. Now that we have finished seaming everything up, we're now going to get started on the length of our sleeve. So start by making sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up. Insert your hook into the stitch that we have that's nearest to the side seam within the armhole. Then we're all going to start by making an odd number chain, the length that we'd like for our sleeve to be. So you can make this as long or short as you'd like. I'd like for mine to be just about 15.5 inches or 39 centimeters. So I'm going to start by making a chain 55. Now that we have our chain, we're going to get started on our sleeve. So we're going to block off that last chain and do a chain 2. Now that chain 2 doesn't actually count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then yarn over and insert your hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook, with a half double crochet. And just like how we did for the body, continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain. We've made our way all the way down with our first half double crochet row. Now we're going to connect it into the base. Now, the way that we're going to connect it is going to be determined on what side you're showing for your piece. So if you guys are showing the back of your piece like me, which shows the front of the half double crochet, we're going to be working clockwise. Or if you guys are showing the front of the piece, which is the edge that looks like it has ribbing, you guys are going to be working counterclockwise, but it will be connected exactly the same. So since I'm working clockwise, I'm going to be working to the left and count up the next 2 available stitches. So there's 1, there's 2, and I'm going to slip stitch into there. But for those of you that are working in the opposite direction, just count up the next 2 available stitches working towards the right. There's 1, 2, and you're going to slip stitch into there. And all we're going to do is slip stitch into that second stitch into the base. Now that stitch doesn't actually count as a stitch, that's just to connect. Then we do need to work our way up to the following row, so slip stitch into that following stitch into the base, flip our work, and Suzette stitch all the way down. So just to do the first one, starting with that first stitch from our previous row and not working into any of those slip stitches into the base, insert with a single and a double, and we're just going to continue on with our Suzette stitches to reach the end of the row, making sure that we close it off with just a single crochet into that last stitch like how we've been doing this entire time. Then just to connect it into the base together once more, at the end of our Suzette stitch row, chain 2, flip our work, and then put 1 half double crochet into every stitch, and I'll meet you back at the end of our row 3. We're back and we're now at the end of our row 3. So we're going to connect it into the base together once more. So just like how we did our previous row, we're going to count up the next 2 available stitches, slip stitch into that second, then just to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that following stitch into the base, flip our work, and do our Suzette stitch row all the way down. From here, we're just going to continue to repeat our 2 previous rows, making our way all the way up and around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I'll meet you back so we can seam it all together. We are back. We've made our way all the way around with our sleeve rows. We don't have any more stitches left to work into, so now we're going to seam it together. Now the seam is actually going to be done exactly the same way as our side seam, which is just a single crochet seam. And as you guys can see, I've already gotten mine completed, so I'm just going to talk you guys through it. We're all going to start by making sure that our work is flipped wrong side out. Then we're all going to do our same single crochet seam that we did for the sides. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, do a chain up 1 and cut, then I will meet you back so that we can do our cuff together. So we are back. We have just completed seaming up the sleeve and now we're going to work on our cuff. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, meaning the seam that we just did is now along the inside. Then we're going to insert our hook into any one of the siders that we have along the edge of our sleeve. Then we're all going to do a single crochet row. So we're all going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, then do a chain up 1 to secure. Then we're just going to be putting 1 single crochet into every other side row. So finding our first side row, mine is my half double crochet. If yours is your side Suzette stitch row, that's fine as well. Just find that top loop and insert with a single. Skip that following side row and into that next, which for me is a side half, insert with a single. We're just going to continue doing this, making our way all the way around, then slip stitch into that chain space. So now that our single crochet row is completed, we're now going to slip stitch into that chain space. Then we're going to make a chain the length that we'd like for the cuff to be. I'd like for mine to be just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, so I went ahead and made a chain 10. Then we're going to do our first row, which is a single crochet row. So now that we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain and do a chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, that's a turning chain. Then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to insert with a single crochet. So insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And from here, continue with 1 single crochet into every chain. So we've just made our way down with our first row. Now we're going to connect it into the base. So what we're going to do is just find that next available stitch into the base, insert with a slip stitch. Now that slip stitch doesn't actually count as a stitch. Then we need to work our way up to the following row, so slip stitch into that following stitch into the base. None of those slip stitches into the base count as a stitch, and we're going to flip our work. Now all of our following rows are going to be front post single crochets. So how that's going to work is start by finding that first single crochet from our previous row, not worked into any of those slip stitches into the base. We're going to insert underneath the body of that single crochet. So if you guys take a look, this is my single crochet from my previous row. I'm going to insert my hook into the gap next to it, underneath and into the gap on the other side of it, then single crochet per usual. This is going to give us some ribbing. Let's do that again. This is my following single crochet. Underneath and through the other side with a single crochet, and that's it. We're going to continue doing our front post single crochets all the way down until we're worked into our last single crochet. So we've just made our way down with our row 2. Now from here, we're going to close off the row with just a single crochet into the top of that last stitch from our previous row. So technically we will have 1 additional stitch, but the last single crochet won't actually count as a stitch. We just want it to even out the edge. So just to make sure, we should all have the same amount of stitches as chains that we made so far. Then into the top of that last stitch, just do a regular single crochet. Now we should have 1 more stitch than chains that we made, but that edge single crochet won't actually count as a stitch. Then from here, we're going to chain 1 and flip. So getting started on our row 3, we're going to do a front post single crochet again. So just making sure that we're not working into that edge single crochet because we want that to be nice and straight. Underneath the body of that first front post single crochet, we're going to bring our hook underneath with a front post single crochet per usual, then just continue on with this, making our way all the way down, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. So I've just made our way down with our row 3. Now so far we should all still have the same amount of stitches as original chains that we made, and whenever we're working on our odd number row, we are not going to do that additional single crochet along the edge because we don't need to keep it straight because it'll already be straight. So now we're just going to connect it into the base. So just finding that next available stitch, we're going to insert with a slip stitch to connect. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next. None of those slip stitches count as a stitch, flip our work, and then do our front post singles all the way down. From here, we're going to continue to repeat these 2 previous rows, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I'll meet you back so we can seam it up together. So we are back. We have just completed making our way all the way around with our front post single crochet rows. Now from here, we're just going to seam it together using the same seam that we did for the sleeve and the sides. So to do our single crochet seam, just make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out. Do our same single crochet seam so we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut and repeat everything on the other side. So we are back, and now that we are completed with our sleeves, we're now going to get started on the bottom band. So making sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, we're going to insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch of our front panel. Then we're all going to start with a half double crochet row. So go ahead and insert your yarn onto your hook, pull through, and start with a chain 2 for some height and for security, but will not count as a stitch. All we're going to do is put 2 half into every side half double crochet row and 1 half into every side Suzette stitch row. So getting that started, start with a yarn over. Everyone's first side row should be a side half double crochet row, so find that top loop and insert with 2 half doubles. So there is 1 into that same top loop with a second. Our next side row is a side Suzette stitch row, so insert into that top loop with 1. Continue doing this, making our way all the way around, and once we reach this corner stitch on this side, I will meet you guys back. So we are back. Our half double crochet row is complete. Now we're going to work on our ribbing. So first things first, we're going to chain 2 and flip. So all this ribbing is going to be is front and back post double crochets. So starting with the yarn over, we're going to find the second half double crochet from our previous row. We're not going to be working into that edge because we want this edge to be nice and clean. And just underneath the body of that second half double crochet, we're going to bring our hook underneath, through the other side, then double crochet per usual. So pull through 2, pull through 2. That is a front post double. Now we're going to do a back post. So yarn over, bringing our hook underneath our work now, up through that next gap, over the body of that next half double crochet and through the other side, yarn over, pull through, then double crochet per usual. We now have a front and back post double completed, so let's do this once more. Yarn over, underneath the body of that next half double, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2. Then to do a back post, yarn over, bring your hook underneath our work, up through that next gap, over the body, pull through 2, pull through 2. All we're going to do is continue with our front and back post double crochets all the way around, leaving that last stitch, and then I'll meet you back. So we've made our way down with our front and back post double crochets. We left that last stitch, and now we're just going to close off the row with 1 half double crochet to keep the edge nice and blunt. So into the top of that last stitch, insert with a half. Then what we're going to do from here is chain 2 and flip. Then all we're going to do is extend our previous row stitches. So once we flip our work, if our first stitch looks like a back post double crochet, we're going to be doing a back post, or if yours looks like a front post, you'll be doing a front post. But we do want to make sure that we're not working into our half double crochet because that'll help us keep that blunt edge. Since mine looks like a back, I will be doing a back post double crochet. Then my next stitch looks like a front post, so I will be doing a front post. And we're just going to continue to extend our previous row stitches till we reach the end of the row, closing off the row with a half double crochet into the top of that last stitch, just like how we did our previous row. Then just continue to extend our previous row stitches until we get the total bottom band length that we would like. Once we have that, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and I will meet you back. So we are back. We have just completed our bottom band. Now I did a total of 5 rows. That's just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to do a single crochet row, prepping for our front band. So that's going to be pretty simple. We're all going to start by making sure the work is flipped right side out, right side up, because we want to show the front of our single crochet row. Then insert a hook into the bottom corner stitch of our bottom band. Then working into our side rows for the bottom band, we are going to alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets into each of those side rows. Then 1 single crochet into every stitch, making our way all the way up and around, and we will have some side rows working into the top of the back as well. So just to show you, so this is my first side row. I'm going to find that top loop and insert, starting with just 1 single crochet. This is my next side row. I'm going to insert in through there with 2 single crochets. So there's 1, and then there's 2, and that's basically it. Continue this till we don't have any more side rows left. Then 1 single crochet into every stitch, making our way all the way up. Then once we reach the top of our front panel, we are going to have some side rows to work into for the back. Once we reach this portion, it is going to alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row again, then make our way all the way down. Once we reach the bottom corner stitch, I will meet you guys back so we can get started on the front band. Alright, so we're back. Our single crochet row is complete. Now from here, we're going to do our front band, which is going to be done exactly the same way as our cuff, so I'm just going to talk you guys through it. Now, since we should all be along the bottom corner, we're all going to make a chain the length that we'd like for the front band to be. I'd like for mine to be just about 1 inch or 2 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 4. Then we're going to repeat our front post single crochets. So once we have our chain, we're going to do a single crochet row back, then do our front post single crochets, making our way all the way up, around, and back down. Once we made our way all the way down and we're worked into that last available stitch, do a chain up 1 and cut, then I will meet y'all back. So we are back. We have just completed making our way all the way up and around with our front band. We are now all done, so once we reach the bottom corner, I did do a chain up 1 and cut. Once we have that completed, we are all done. Last thing we have to do is just weave in all of our ends. And there you have it, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch y'all the next one. Bye.